This marks the very first communication between humanity and an ancient marine species. Appearing before the crowd is a fish-human hybrid possessing distinct female physiological features. The story begins with a fishing vessel operating in the Mediterranean. The sea is calm, and the crew casts their nets as usual. However, the moment they pull the net up, they hear a strange, shrill scream, as if some creature is trapped inside. In the chaos of this late night, Barclay is jolted awake by a call from the organization. The Joint Intelligence Task Force he belongs to is affiliated with the United Nations, a transnational, independently operating intelligence agency. The personnel who were supposed to be on duty are on vacation, so the organization has no choice but to urgently notify Barclay, the only substitute they can reach. After dropping his child off at his ex-wife's house, he immediately boards a military jet heading to a remote island in the Mediterranean. Barclay, however, is merely a civilian clerk. He does not even have system clearance and can only glance at fragmented intelligence footage on a colleague's tablet. He realizes this mission is far beyond his capabilities. He hurriedly explains to his superiors that the only reason he was registered as a substitute 5 years ago was because a colleague took temporary leave for paternity reasons. He just filled in a name and has never received any relevant training. However, the military clearly has no intention of listening to his explanation and simply follows protocol, taking him along with the squad to the secret island. Upon arriving at the fishing village on the island and passing through heavy armed security, they finally see the core target of this operation. It is a deep-sea creature accidentally caught by fishermen 5 kilometers off the coast. The fishermen initially shot the deep-sea creature in fear, but soon realized this monster might bring immense wealth, so they took the risk to drag it back to shore. Now, that unknown creature from the deep hangs quietly in a temporarily sealed warehouse. General Pierce stares at the bizarre creature, half fish, half human, as if dragged forcibly into reality from ancient maritime legends. In myths and folklore, people call these existences sea devils, but in the realm of modern biology, they have a new name: Homo aqua. The female scientist Min So's research further reveals that they did not appear out of thin air but likely evolved from an unknown branch of vertebrates. Their reproductive structure resembles the cloaca of reptiles, a feature present in both males and females. When the Homo aqua was captured, a round, natural pearl was embedded in its neck. Tests show the pearl has no traces of artificial crafting. It is completely natural, yet precisely and firmly embedded under the skin of the throat, as if it had been there since birth. Pierce suggests putting the pearl back, noting that whenever humans encounter Homo aqua, they always find similar pearl nuclei inside them. Whether it symbolizes caste, faith, or some status marker remains unanswered. As everyone leaves to continue analysis, Barclay walks alone to the Homo aqua's remains and offers a prayer for this unknown creature. Afterward, Barclay brings equipment to the coast to conduct a sonar scan of the deep sea. Pierce stands aside and slowly voices his real question. Why would Homo aqua appear in the mere Mediterranean? Compared to the vast deep ocean, this place is just a closed, narrow pool. The regional director also admits that this area has long been suspicious. A seafloor earthquake 2 years ago severed important communication cables, and every repair since has been followed by inexplicable new damage. Suddenly, a strong vibration comes from the sea surface. It is the signal feedback of the detector's scanning pulse encountering a reflection. This means the Homo aqua has responded to their detection. Late at night, Barclay tosses and turns, unable to sleep. Meanwhile, in the temporary warehouse, 2 soldiers guarding the Homo aqua remains are chatting and laughing, unaware of a strange noise. Suddenly, a large amount of liquid begins to seep from the ground. Mud-like wet soil spreads rapidly, and the floor seems to be thoroughly soaked into a swamp. A female soldier takes 2 steps forward only to be swallowed by the mud pit. Her companion rushes to help but instantly sinks into the mire as well. He urgently calls for help on the radio, but it is too late. A high-speed black shadow leaps from the depths of the mud pit, instantly snatching the suspended Homo aqua corpse. As it vanishes into the darkness, the base's alarms sound piercingly. When everyone rushes to the scene, the 2 soldiers guarding the Homo aqua are gone without a trace, and the Homo aqua's body has evaporated into thin air. Even more eerily, the ground that had turned into mud has now returned to being hard, as if nothing happened. Barclay, however, keenly notices an anomaly in the floor under his feet. He pulls gently and surprisingly pulls out the chair the soldier was sitting on during the break. Pierce constantly calls the missing soldiers on the walkie-talkie, but moments later, a faint, mixed static noise comes from deep beneath his feet. It is the signal echo of the walkie-talkie. He continues trying to make contact while pressing his ear close to the ground, listening to the static almost swallowed by the earth. Suddenly, realizing something, he immediately digs into the dry soil layer with his fingers. As the soil is pushed aside, the twisted, buried body of a soldier is gradually revealed. Facing a corpse for the first time nearly causes Barclay to break down. He is just an ordinary clerk responsible for transport and paperwork and should never have appeared in such a terrifying scene. However, Pierce tells Barclay that while history is made up of countless accidents, the organization's regulations state that any event with major historical, cultural, or global impact must be witnessed jointly by civilian and military personnel. It is too late for Barclay to withdraw. His role was destined the moment he got involved. Captain Chakri also adds an explanation of the true mission of the Joint Intelligence Task Force. The organization was originally established to deal with potential extraterrestrial life forms. However, the Homo aqua before them are not an alien species, but an ancient existence deeply rooted in Earth. Perhaps they hibernated on the seabed, or perhaps extreme climate changes forced them into the deep sea. The organization had actually found similar traces in multiple operations, but kept it secret. Millions of years ago, these creatures were already the indigenous inhabitants of Earth. In a sense, they are more qualified than humans to call this blue planet home. Humans merely inherited the world they once owned. So now that they have awakened again, if they want to return to their own planet, where should humanity go? Just then, the military discovers a living Homo aqua appearing by the sea. Scientists and soldiers immediately stand ready. Barclay, responsible for recording, notices that the Homo aqua is staring coldly at them. General Pierce immediately orders the soldiers to lower their weapons and arranges for the translator to be activated.
My name is General Austin Pierce, and I represent the Unified Military Task Force of the Combined Nations of the Dry Lands of Earth, and I welcome you into diplomatic concord.
The translation result reads, "You killed us." Pierce refutes this, stating that the Homo aqua also took the lives of 2 soldiers and suggests peace talks. Suddenly, the Homo aqua becomes agitated, saying it disagrees with negotiating only with them, but demands to negotiate with all of humanity. At that moment, the soldiers are horrified to find a large number of its kind appearing behind that Homo aqua.
I say again, we come in peace.
Agreed.
As Pierce prepares to ask how they intend to start negotiations, everyone's phones emit piercing alarms simultaneously. The global monitoring system issues a synchronized warning. Homo aqua have appeared in the world's major oceans simultaneously.
The simple fact that all over the world.
The sudden intelligence escalates the situation into an international crisis instantly. The public appearance of Homo aqua causes massive shockwaves globally. To communicate with this ancient species as soon as possible, humanity sets the meeting location inside the Empire State Building in London. In just one day, engineering teams work sleeplessly to construct a massive pipeline connecting to the River Thames, allowing the Homo aqua representatives to reach a specially made tank inside the building directly from underwater channels. Kate, Commander-in-Chief of the Joint Intelligence Task Force, is elected as the chief representative for humanity. Although they do not belong to any nation, they now shoulder the collective will of all life on Earth, hoping this step will be a great beginning toward peaceful coexistence. Before the meeting begins, technicians slowly fill the giant tank with water. Only after it is completely full do they open the sluice at the end of the underwater tunnel. Through surveillance footage, everyone clearly sees the Homo aqua entering the pipeline are divided into 3 distinct life forms. First to appear are 4 previously recorded Homo aqua individuals, standing silent and solemn like ceremonial guards. Following them are 2 massive, unprecedented deep-sea fish. The one trailing at the end, keeping a deliberate distance, appears to hold extraordinary status. As the water inside the tank is gradually drained away, the final Homo aqua is at last fully revealed. She possesses extremely obvious female characteristics, shocking everyone present. The amphibious nature of the Homo aqua is thoroughly confirmed. This means they can not only move freely in the ocean, but also have the ability to land directly on the surface and penetrate inland. The conference hall immediately buzzes with discussion. Human representative Dr. Jonathan hurriedly steps forward to welcome her, but the female Homo aqua interrupts him with a cold, clear voice.
We do not need translation.
Immediately after, she fluently speaks a sentence in Russian. It is evident that their species is far more familiar with human society than humans imagined. The entire venue falls into shock and unease. A truly cross-species negotiation finally kicks off in an oppressive atmosphere. Dr. Jonathan states he has brought a gift for the Homo aqua, snow rhododendrons from Mount Everest, the highest peak on Earth. This gift carries humanity's respect and embodies the hope for peaceful coexistence between the two races.
We have a gift for you, my children. My children should have been born at the turn of the third cold current, but they choked on your oil and poison and excrement.
Unexpectedly, the Homo aqua has come to assign blame. This flusters Jonathan. He tries to explain that humanity is already managing the marine environment, but the female Homo aqua states she does not want to negotiate with him.
We would speak with him.
Barclay, sitting in the back row taking notes, never expects the female Homo aqua to be pointing at him. Kate hurriedly orders Barclay's file to be pulled up immediately. Barclay stands up nervously, wondering if they have the wrong person. The female Homo aqua presses the pearl on her neck. On screens everywhere, the image of him praying over the Homo aqua corpse appears.
No, that's just a thing.
You respected our fallen kin when no others did.
What are they, Christians now? Someone tell me what's going on.
Barclay explains he is not religious and doesn't know why he did it, but the female Homo aqua sees a kindness in him distinct from others.
Will you stand as ambassador and talk on behalf of the entire human race?
Okay.
The human side announces a recess to continue tomorrow. The Homo aqua keeps her eyes fixed on the departing Barclay. Soon, Barclay's file is reported to Kate. Barclay actually knows Kate. As her most junior subordinate, he handles trivial matters daily, even arranging her taxi bookings. Kate stares at Barclay with confusion and caution, struggling to understand why the Homo aqua would choose this unremarkable clerk out of nearly 8 billion people on Earth. She presses Barclay on whether he has had any contact with Homo aqua in the past. Barclay racks his brain. The only thing he can recall is having kept a goldfish, never having had any connection with any aquatic organism. Kate clearly refuses to accept such a coincidence and calmly informs Barclay that the organization has begun a comprehensive investigation of his background. Every text, every email, all photos and communication records, even every person Barclay has ever met are under strict scrutiny. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, Barclay's ex-wife Barbara and child are urgently taken away by military personnel to ensure they are not potentially influenced. Barclay swears his family has nothing to do with this, and they don't even know where he is, but he is willing to cooperate. Thus, an obscure little clerk suddenly becomes the core focus of the entire planet. The public hasn't even heard his name, yet overnight he becomes the key to deciding the future of two races. Facing strong public pressure, the UN is unwilling to let an ordinary person with no diplomatic experience stand at the negotiating table. A single wrong word could lead to a war human civilization cannot withstand. Ultimately, they ask Kate to convey to the Homo aqua that humanity wishes for the previous ambassador to continue as representative, unwilling to let a common human without political status bear such a heavy burden. Once this request is relayed, no one expects the response from the Homo aqua to be so resolute. They are only willing to hear Barclay's views spoken in person. At this moment, all eyes turn again to the previously ignored little figure.
Hello.
Do you have a name? I'm Barclay.
My title will not translate, but you may call me Salt.
I'm just a regular guy. I work in an office. I don't know about diplomacy or politics. I don't even know obeisance.
Salt explains that he was chosen for his humanity and compassion, not his expertise, and asks him for his own view on the role of ambassador.
But what do you want?
This process is about everybody, right? The whole world. It's not just prime ministers and presidents. It's real people like me. They worry about their bills and their kids. I mean, I'm a nobody. I get it, but I think maybe it's time people like me had more of a voice.
We hear you, Ambassador.
It is decided. Your request has been heard and denied. Barclay will be present at dawn tomorrow, or negotiations will end.
After Barclay is named by the Homo aqua as the human representative, Kate and the scientific team quickly launch a further analysis of the Homo aqua species. Kate suddenly recalls a detail. When Sir Jonathan presented the bouquet, at the moment the female Homo Aqua smelled the flower, the 4 Homo Aqua guards beside her synchronized the smelling action. Even the 2 massive underwater creatures deep in the tank had the same reaction. This eerie consistency makes Kate realize that Homo Aqua likely possess some kind of shared consciousness or telepathic connection ability. Meanwhile, 2 Homo Aqua eggs that died from contamination are sent to the lab for strict analysis. The research team is trying their best to decode Homo Aqua's reproductive characteristics and biological structure. However, a staff member secretly hides a sample containing Homo Aqua tissue while his colleague turns away for a few seconds. He then secretly hands this precious and dangerous sample to a British oil tycoon while unobserved. The oil tycoon has secretly contacted the US military. His primary task is to ensure his oil empire is not destroyed by the appearance of Homo Aqua. The Americans worry about the global economy sliding backward. They hope this British philanthropist can participate in the next day's negotiations as an advisor, providing more controllable possibilities for the situation. The next morning, the situation changes suddenly. The news of Barclay's appointment as human ambassador leaks unexpectedly, and related photos spread rapidly across media. Investigations show the photo was sent anonymously via email. Hotel surveillance footage suggests the person who took the photo is likely the French representative, General Dussolier. Upon learning this, Kate immediately bans Dussolier from attending that day's meeting to prevent further intelligence leaks. Despite this, the negotiation must continue. Kate approves 50 journalists to enter for recording, but strictly forbids live broadcasting to prevent public emotional spiraling. The second meeting between humans and Homo Aqua is about to begin. She reminds Barclay again to mind his demeanor and actions, as any misunderstanding could bring irreversible consequences. As the Homo Aqua enter the venue again via the underwater pipeline, Barclay walks to the front, steadily completes the greeting according to the teleprompter, and expresses condolences for the Homo Aqua who died yesterday. Salt listens quietly, then asks Barclay if he has children. After receiving an affirmative answer, she suddenly demands a glass of water. As the staff prepares to pour her water, Salt adds that it must be water from the river. This sudden condition silences the room instantly. Everyone waits nervously for that glass of water to be brought up. The nearest source is the River Thames, so soldiers quickly fetch a jar of water from the river, pour it into a glass, and hand it to Barclay. Barclay stares at the murky, yellowish water in the glass and cannot help but remind her that for safety, it would be best to sterilize it before drinking.
Water is not for us. It is for you.
Sorry, I don't understand.
You will drink it.
Naturally, Barclay is unwilling to drink that water. Everyone knows how terrible the water quality of the River Thames is. Seeing this, Kate immediately has the team perform a rapid analysis of the river water sample. The results show it contains massive amounts of E. coli and various pathogenic microorganisms, completely unfit for consumption. She hurriedly warns Barclay through his earpiece that he absolutely must not drink it, nor let the Homo Aqua misunderstand. However, Salt does not give up, asking repeatedly why Barclay refuses. Barclay stays silent for a moment, then finally makes a decision. Ignoring Kate's dissuasion, he takes off his earpiece.
Because we were stupid. That's the truth of it. And the whole planet's going to hell right now because we didn't understand the consequences.
But now you do.
Barclay takes a deep breath and speaks the truth. Even at this moment, the city's water companies are still discharging toxic sewage into rivers and oceans, and most humans are accustomed to this, indifferent. It is the children who understand protecting nature and cherishing this planet better than adults.
Today's the day we stop.
I think you are my favorite human.
Barclay thinks his performance is perfect, enough to ease relations between the two sides. However, when he turns around, he sees the solemn expressions of General Pierce and all the dignitaries. The entire venue falls into a deathly silence. The talks have to be temporarily suspended. Meanwhile, the scientific team is racing to study how to synchronize information among all members of the species instantly. They suspect it is a network structure similar to marine mycelium. On land, certain fungi can connect every tree in a forest, forming an underground internet sharing resources and information. If seaweed and fungi form a massive seabed network in a similar way, then real-time information sharing among Homo Aqua could be realized, resembling a natural hive mind. Kate guesses that the pearl in the Homo Aqua's throat might participate in this communication system. The next day, negotiations continue. Facing the ocean pollution issue, the human representatives promise to complete a 50% pollution reduction by 2065 and accelerate governance exponentially thereafter. Barclay explains this deadline stems from complex resource allocation and global cooperation requirements. Homo Aqua have lived in the sea for millions of years. Now humans only ask for another 40 years to reset. But Salt cannot accept such a slow pace. Today, her people are dying continuously. She cannot accept waiting another 40 years, and her people cannot bear this long countdown. Facing Barclay's sincere apology, Salt accepts his sincerity. But she still doubts whether those humans who truly hold power share the same goodwill and whether they are willing to truly accelerate, even pushing pollution governance at any cost. Barclay tries his best to explain that humans certainly want it to be as fast as possible, but reality is complex. Salt suddenly interrupts him. Since that is the case, solve it immediately. She looks up at the sky. Dark clouds suddenly gather over the city, the thunder deafening. Then, all humans watch in horror as the sky begins to pour down countless plastic bags, bottles, fishing nets, and floating foam, as if the entire ocean's trash is being dumped from the sky. Not just London, but all coastal and inland cities around the world witness the same scene. The waste humanity once threw into the oceans is returned in full exactly as it was by Salt. The venue falls into chaos, negotiations are completely halted, and staff immediately escort Barclay away.
You have to stop!
We are cleaning up your mess.
As the Homo Aqua leave, the global trash rain intensifies.
Where are you? We're here!
Dozens of major cities.
City skylines are obscured by plastic waste. People are forced to hide inside buildings, watching in horror as waste falls from the sky, piling up into mountains, blocking roads, and crushing vehicles and houses. The most absurd scene occurs in New York. More than a century after sinking on its maiden voyage, the entire Titanic is dropped by Homo Aqua onto the streets of Manhattan. As major cities around the world become completely paralyzed, world leaders issue statements calling for calm and promoting cleanup operations. However, panic cannot be quelled by words. More and more people begin to believe this is Homo Aqua's declaration of war on all humanity, and humans must unite quickly to face the threat from the deep sea. Soon, negotiations with Homo Aqua restart. Barclay believes the other side's previous actions have triggered too many unnecessary conflicts, and when humans react out of fear, it often causes terrible consequences. However, Salt does not back down. She clearly states she will not accept any threats. In her view, this war has already quietly begun, and everything before their eyes is merely Homo Aqua's counterattack. At Kate's request, Barclay begins to read from a script representing Earth's humanity to request a ceasefire agreement. Salt, as the representative of Homo Aqua, proposes 3 conditions. First, the pollution of oceans and rivers must stop immediately and completely. Second, a formal division of survival boundaries between humans and Homo Aqua is required. Humans thought the Earth's oceans were vast and carving out a section for Homo Aqua wouldn't be hard. However, Salt's additional statement shocks everyone. The designated ocean areas are completely off limits to humans. Even sailing on the surface is not allowed. Homo Aqua emphasizes that the air above the ocean is also their space. Land is the human habitat, while the ocean and sky belong entirely to Homo Aqua. Hearing this, the human representatives fall into chaos. This means all planes flying over the ocean must stop operating. Salt further declares that land transport can proceed freely, but transoceanic transport is absolutely forbidden. As soon as this is said, the atmosphere becomes tense. The oil tycoon is the first to stand up in protest, pointing out that trade between continents is a vital lifeline of the global economy. An African ambassador accuses that relying on food imports, many African nations would face a survival crisis if transoceanic transport is interrupted. He argues Homo Aqua are merely amphibious creatures and should not possess dominion over the sky, nor decide humanity's future direction.
We will take questions from the ambassador.
Salt's voice suddenly changes, shifting to a male tone. Human representative Barclay immediately apologizes and signals for everyone to stay quiet and return to their seats. Facing the powerful intimidation Homo Aqua just displayed, all representatives can only silently comply. Barclay solemnly emphasizes that humans have no intention of offending Homo Aqua and still insist on hoping to maintain peace between the two species through a formal ceasefire agreement. But these proposals involve many countries and require time for negotiation. Salt's voice returns to female, reminding the human representatives that they have only discussed the first 2 conditions, while the 3rd condition is the most critical one.
We stand here in your rooms of concrete and steel and dust and light, burning our eyes and our lungs, and we will endure no more. So our next meeting will be here.
As Salt touches the pearl on her neck, Coordinates in the Atlantic appear on the screen, but they do not understand the meaning of the numbers following them.
Please clarify the third coordinate.
Your metric unit for length and depth.
You would like us to meet underwater?
You talk of peace and equality. So prove your commitment and meet us in our world.
The Romanche Trench is one of the deepest trenches on Earth. The meeting depth proposed by Homo Aqua is so deep that even humanity's most advanced manned submersibles would implode at less than half that depth. In other words, human technology simply cannot reach there for a face-to-face meeting.
At the bottom of the ocean?
Okay.
The second formal negotiation between humans and Homo Aqua is about to launch, with the location chosen as one of Earth's deepest trenches, the Romanche Trench. Participating in this operation, besides General Pierce and Barclay, are a biologist and 3 diplomats elected by the United Nations, forming the negotiation team. To ensure the mission goes smoothly, the military conducts systematic and rigorous underwater adaptation training for them, as they are about to descend in a small, deep-sea submersible to a limit zone of 8,000 meters. The entire voyage is expected to take 2 hours and 17 minutes. Humans have never entered such deep waters on this scale before. Pierce also admits that this operation is unprecedented in both technical and risk aspects, and the submersible they are boarding is the most robust and advanced model currently on Earth. Yet even so, Barclay's family cannot hide their worry. His ex-wife fears he won't return. His daughter sees massive amounts of abuse and accusations against her father online. Some call him a traitor to humanity, or even a puppet of Homo Aqua. With complex emotions and a heavy sense of responsibility, Barclay bids farewell to his family. Subsequently, the team members board a helicopter to the designated sea area. Ted carries a heavy suitcase, catching Barclay's attention. Opened, it contains a wooden globe. Ted says this symbolizes diplomatic goodwill from countries around the world, a gift for Homo Aqua. Soon after, they arrive at the diving ship escorted by multiple warships.
In the words of a great man, we can be heroes. Let's save the world.
Kate directs the operation remotely from the control room. All of humanity holds its breath.
Captain Gates, handing control over to you.
Okay, let's pick it up. Let's move it out.
Taking you off the ship now. Good luck, everybody. Good luck to you all.
Watching the live TV broadcast as the submersible carrying hope and risk is slowly lowered into the sea.
Operating to stable. Over.
As the capsule detaches from the deck, the submersible sinks rapidly, the dark seawater swallowing it bit by bit. Intense water pressure and continuous shaking make the atmosphere inside the cabin suddenly tense. Several members feel obvious unease. To relieve the tension, everyone starts chatting in low voices. The Indian diplomat Ravi jokingly mentions he was selected for the mission by drawing lots, but the real reason might be that people from other countries were unwilling to risk their lives for this task. At that moment, Ted suddenly notices moisture on his shoulder and lets out a startled cry in shock. Barclay immediately comforts Ted, explaining it is just condensation caused by the low temperature environment, not hull damage. As the submersible continues to descend and the depth increases, the laughter in the cabin fades. A heavy sense of oppression spreads in everyone's heart, and everyone falls into their own silence. Meanwhile, Kate barges into the British Prime Minister's conference room. Another war without smoke is unfolding on land. Due to high dependence on maritime trade, the U.S. shows strong opposition to the conditions proposed by Homo Aqua. The U.S. military is accelerating its armament. Sonic weapons originally used for ground control have been modified into new equipment suitable for underwater combat. French General Dussolier also explicitly states that humanity cannot give up key shipping lanes, including the English Channel, the Panama Canal, and the Suez Canal. Ultra-high-frequency explosions could incapacitate Homo Aqua or throw them into chaos, creating conditions for traditional weapon attacks. Kate questions on the spot. Diplomatic negotiations are clearly still ongoing, and both sides have signed a ceasefire agreement. So why is military deployment being discussed at the conference table? However, many leaders present believe that so-called negotiations are merely buying time. In recent decades, almost all wars have been planned and pushed in conference rooms like this, eventually winning victory. Humans have built a civilization highly dependent on the ocean, which provides energy, nourishes crops, and sustains survival. Some even believe that an ancient and powerful civilization like Homo Aqua is itself a gift to be exploited. Their technology might not only help solve the climate crisis, but bring unimaginable benefits. If Homo Aqua insists on starting a total war between land and sea, then in the eyes of humans, there is absolutely no room for compromise or concession in this confrontation. Oblivious to the fact that they have already become pawns, Barclay and his group are approaching the limit depth of 7,000 meters underwater. The submersible emits piercing creaking sounds in the high-pressure environment, as if it could be crushed by seawater at any moment. The tension completely crushes Ted. He remembers an experimental program he once watched where humans put a pig in a special diving suit and threw it into the deep sea to test water pressure limits, resulting in it being crushed into meat paste instantly. This memory makes his fear spiral out of control. Barclay can only constantly comfort Ted, guiding him to adjust his breathing, barely stabilizing his emotions. The submersible has slowly sunk into the pitch-black deep-sea trench. It seems only endless darkness and oppression remain around them. On the other side, world leaders reach a consensus after weighing the pros and cons. Humanity cannot give up control of this planet. Homo Aqua triggered a global chain disaster with just 10 minutes of plastic rain. This makes the High Command realize even more clearly that if Homo Aqua really uses all their power, humans have no way to fight back. Because of this, they believe they must get rid of this threat that could wipe them out at any time as soon as possible. Suddenly, the control room discovers an anomaly. Communication with the submersible cuts off without warning, and data shows it is moving at an abnormally high speed. The people inside the submersible are equally scared out of their wits by this sudden change. After a violent tremor, Min So is the first to notice something wrong. The pressure reading on the cabin wall is abnormal, actually almost identical to the land environment. This means they may have entered some unknown structure or space. Before everyone can figure out the situation, the lights in the cabin suddenly go out, darkness instantly swallowing everything. Strange noises come from the direction of the hatch, as if something is trying to enter the submersible. Pierce steps out of the hatch first, and the scene before him completely shocks him. This is actually a seabed space. Looking up, the turbulent seawater is still above, but firmly kept out by some invisible force. Even more incredibly, the entire space seems to be made of a living biological membrane. The walls and dome undulate faintly, as if breathing. Just as everyone is still recovering from the shock, Salt suddenly appears before them. She signals that everyone can take off their masks, explaining that the air and environment here are perfectly suitable for human survival. Facing such a proposal, everyone instinctively hesitates. Salt then walks up to Barclay.
Barclay.
Yeah.
Barclay is the first to try. After confirming his breathing is smooth and his body feels fine, the others remove their masks one after another. Only the timid Ted remains uneasy, insisting on wearing his mask as if it gives him an extra sense of safety. Everything before them completely overturns their understanding. Unbelievable. Salt, however, appears very calm. She explains that Homo Aqua feels similar strangeness and shock when facing the human world made of steel and glass. As the exchange deepens, everyone gradually learns that Homo Aqua is not a tribe with fixed dwellings, but a nomadic people who regard the entire ocean and all water systems as home. At the same time, Homo Aqua society is also divided into multiple different classes based on wisdom and ability, a structure far more complex than humans imagined. Suddenly, Ravi gasps excitedly, unable to catch his breath. When everyone steps forward to check, Barclay notices the surrounding walls begin to move slowly. The biological membrane seems to reorganize itself, isolating him and Salt into a relatively closed small space. A difficult-to-explain sense of familiarity wells up in Barclay's heart, as if he has known Salt for a long time. Yet reason clearly tells him they have never met before. In this cramped space, they touch each other, sensing each other's existence. Salt quickly detects that Barclay's thoughts are unusually complex. This reveals an astonishing fact: she can read human minds. Through these chaotic consciousnesses, Salt clearly sees Barclay's deep desire for peace, genuinely hoping to end the opposition and fighting between the two species. After the brief isolation ends, the walls separate again, and Barclay rejoins his teammates. They continue moving forward, finally arriving at an even grander space. Countless Homo Aqua are gathered in the entire space.
Welcome to our domain.
Meanwhile, Kate suddenly receives an urgent call from a subordinate. While monitoring high-level calls from various countries, they found an abnormally frequently appearing keyword, severance. In just 2 days, This word was mentioned over a dozen times. Clearly some pre-agreed code hiding an ulterior plan. Before Kate can ask for details, a dangerous red dot quietly appears on her head. Her bodyguard reacts immediately, tackling her to the ground. Kate's bodyguard is shot in the chest, falls into a pool of blood, and soon loses signs of life.
Your one is lost.
Barclay immediately realizes something is wrong and tackles Ted without hesitation, but everything is ultimately too late. The explosion happens instantly. Terrifying energy tears the entire space apart. In the nick of time, Salt hugs Barclay tightly. A mysterious alien field forms around her body, isolating the surging seawater, and carries him toward the sea surface at amazing speed. On land, after dodging the sniper's second shot, Kate calls for backup immediately. Headquarters soon receives a strong explosion pulse signal from the seabed. Staff quickly judge that all human representatives sent to the deep sea have perished. Soldiers arriving at the scene kill the sniper but find no clues on him to prove his identity. Almost simultaneously, global news begins scrolling reports declaring all human representatives died in a seabed explosion. In the footage, Salt of the Homo Aqua makes a public appearance, claiming responsibility for this death event and defining it as a warning to humanity. She states that the price of entering Homo Aqua territory is death, and the flesh and blood of human diplomats will nourish the next generation of Homo Aqua. From this moment on, the so-called diplomatic negotiations are completely over, and all sea areas will be fully blockaded. While various parties attempt to verify the authenticity of this footage, on the other side, Salt has brought Barclay to the surface and is soon discovered by a human helicopter cruising above. Barclay reports his seabed experience in detail to headquarters. All companions were sacrificed in that sudden explosion. Salt is also successfully captured by humans and imprisoned in a sturdy metal tank, ready to be taken back to land as a prisoner of war to face trial. The sniper who attacked Kate is identified as a retired Greek army commander who has long operated as a mercenary. But even more confusing is that the true mastermind behind his employment remains unclear, sparking fierce arguments among generals of various countries. American General Gunsberg insists that if they wanted to kill Kate, they wouldn't have let the operation be exposed. Further investigation reveals the sniper was employed by a research institute. Ted, who had cancer, had received treatment at that institute. The US military has the capability to storm and seal off this institute within 2 hours. The investor behind it is their old friend, oil tycoon Keith. Although everyone thinks Keith wouldn't do such a thing without a heads up, now that the incident implicates them, they have to bear the responsibility. That very night, a killer breaks into Keith's home and shoots him dead on the spot. The next day, Barclay and the metal tank containing Salt are transported back to land together.
Unit tower.
Barclay happens to know the driver, Chappie. From their conversation, he learns the public is calling for severe punishment of the Homo Aqua, who caused the ambassadors' deaths, and Salt will likely be sent to a lab, possibly sliced into sashimi. Barclay quietly tricks Chappie out of his keys, attempting to hijack the vehicle and escape. Soldiers quickly block the front of the vehicle, plunging the situation into a standoff. Chakri urgently tries to dissuade Barclay, reminding him that escaping by vehicle while surrounded is impossible.
Who said I was going forward?
Salt, having fallen into the water, regains her strength. She uses amazing ability to open the metal hatch, shielding Barclay tightly beside her, and escapes rapidly underwater. When this news breaks, human society is shocked. Meanwhile, upon learning of Keith's shooting, Kate immediately orders her subordinates to launch a comprehensive investigation into his cause of death. However, before she finishes speaking, piercing alarms suddenly sound throughout the command room. Sensors on the Thames embankment are triggered. A total of 9 Homo Aqua life forms are rapidly approaching their direction. Kate immediately orders everyone to enter highest alert, ready to greet the arrival of the Homo Aqua envoys. The Homo Aqua infiltrate the venue interior through the River Thames pipeline. Appearing before everyone is a tall, imposingly non-trivial male Homo Aqua envoy. Kate is about to introduce herself, but is interrupted.
Right.
You came to our world and killed yourselves to make everything that is happening worse. Why in the name of the waters would you do that? Why, you beasts of such insanity?
Kate explains that humanity has been full of uncertainty and contradiction since its birth. She can only express apologies for the trouble caused to Homo Aqua. The Homo Aqua envoy calls himself Tide. He immediately asks for Salt's whereabouts. But his purpose is not to demand humans release his companion, but to take her back to Homo Aqua for punishment. Salt ignored the lives of her own kind to save a human during the explosion event. This behavior violated the natural laws of Homo Aqua, so she must be sanctioned. Kate responds that Salt has successfully escaped, and even if she fell into human hands, she might not be easily returned to Homo Aqua. However, Tide and the Homo Aqua's attitude is unusually firm. If humans do not hand over Salt, a total war between the land and ocean civilizations will be inevitable.
You have met Salt. You have met Tide. Beware our third ambassador. Rust. Because water is not confined to the seas, water is in the air. And we can make a weapon of that water to create rust, eating at your cities and cars and missiles until it brings your civilization down from rust into dust. These negotiations are over. You will find Salt. You will return her to us. You will advance the plans to change your world. Within 5 years.
That's impossible.
Make it possible.
Before leaving, Tide also makes a suggestion. The name Earth should also be changed.
Earth. Too dry.
However, Barclay and Salt, wanted by both races, are enjoying a rare happy time together. In their quiet time together, Salt tells Barclay about the life and culture of the Homo Aqua. She explains that Homo Aqua, like humans, possess rich emotions and social behaviors. They mate randomly and can lay thousands of eggs. However, compared to humans, Homo Aqua have never set foot in space, nor explored worlds beyond Earth, which fills them with curiosity about human achievements. When Barclay asks what punishment Salt might face if caught, she is silent for a moment before slowly responding that the most severe punishment might be expulsion from the tribe, drifting forever lonely in the vast ocean. Barclay recalls that seabed explosion, how he was almost swallowed by seawater, and it was Salt who held him tight, using her power to form an isolation barrier to block the seawater and passing oxygen by mouth to let him breathe.
I find you unique.
I really thought your skin was going to be cold.
I can regulate my body.
Just like that, in their intimate relationship, they gradually build a deep bond. At this moment, the sound of helicopters comes from outside. Clearly, the entire city has entered a search state, with all forces looking for Barclay and Salt. Salt's appearance is too conspicuous to hide in human society. Barclay originally suggests she dive into the water to evade capture, but Salt points out that as soon as she enters the water, Homo Aqua will immediately sense her location. Finally, Barclay decides to take Salt inland, hiding in deep mountains rarely visited by people, where lakes are sufficient to sustain her survival. To leave the city smoothly, Barclay steals a phone to contact his daughter Kirby, wanting to borrow his ex-wife Barbara's car as cover. However, he doesn't know that Barbara and Kirby are already under the organization's strict surveillance. Their agreed meeting point is quickly locked onto and instantly transmitted to Gunsberg's ears, and his soldiers rapidly gather toward the target location. The public video previously released by Homo Aqua has been proven fake. Salt never said those provocative words. On the bridge, just as Barclay sees Barbara get out of the car, Barbara shouts a warning for him to flee immediately. But before they can act, two convoys appear on both sides of the bridge simultaneously, sandwiching them completely. On one side is the Joint Intelligence Task Force, on the other, armed forces directly commanded by General Gunsberg. Both sides face off over Barclay and Salt. The atmosphere tensed to the breaking point. Barclay and Barbara are quickly controlled. General Gunsberg immediately orders to prepare to shoot Salt, attempting to solve the problem in the most extreme way. However, Kate issues a stern warning on the spot. If they open fire, the troops she commands will not hesitate to aim their guns at the other side.
Open fire at my command.
On my command, fire at will.
Those are British soldiers on British soil. You wouldn't dare.
You'll wait a long time, General, till I give way.
Hey, don't!
On my command.
Just as everyone's nerves are stretched to the limit, Salt suddenly lets out a piercing scream. The The sound seems to act directly on the nerves, causing everyone present to cover their ears in pain. Using this brief chaos, Salt leaps off the bridge, plunging into the river water below. Barclay knows Salt's exact location has inevitably been exposed to the Homo Aqua. After Salt successfully escapes, Barclay is strictly protected by the human side with the highest security. Before, Barclay wasn't affected by Salt's sound waves like the others, but after returning, he begins to frequently feel discomfort all over, as if some abnormality has appeared inside his body. But no matter what checks are done, medical equipment cannot find any problems. Over time, Barclay gradually notices a bizarre phenomenon. Only when he stays in water do his body and mental state return to calm. Because he assisted Salt's escape, Barclay is seen as a traitor to humanity in official eyes. On the surface, he is placed in a safe house on a high floor of a hotel. In reality, this is more like an invisible prison. He is not only under strict surveillance at all times, but also receives multiple anonymous death threats. Even his daily food and water must go through precise instrument testing repeatedly to ensure absolute safety. One late night, a Homo Aqua individual suddenly appears in a coastal city, standing on the coastline blowing a conch shell in his hand. Low and eerie sound waves spread rapidly. All dogs hearing this sound run toward the beach as if controlled, eventually being captured by ambushing Homo Aqua with nets.
You ate our dogs!
You eat our fish.
Well, you can't eat our dogs.
You can't eat our fish.
Our dogs are domesticated!
Our fish are family!
Homo Aqua accuses humans of devouring their kin, fish schools, while humans cannot accept their long domesticated pets becoming prey. In each other's eyes, the other's behavior has crossed an untouchable bottom line. Kate, however, keenly realizes that this seemingly provocative action is more like a smoke bomb. Homo Aqua's real goal is obviously not as simple as snatching a few dogs. Soon, Tactical Commander Bello also detects anomalies. He judges that the so-called diplomatic talks are just a carefully designed war game. The real conflict has already unfolded in the dark. Investigation results soon confirm his judgment. Homo Aqua has been secretly melting glaciers under the deep sea and covering their outer layer with a special ice crystal structure to shield heat and energy fluctuations, thus successfully evading human satellite monitoring. And now they deliberately expose all this, as if showing their hand to humanity. According to calculations, if this behavior continues unchecked, Antarctica will melt about 300 trillion tons of ice annually. What terrifies them even more is that one glacier completely melted within just 6 hours, which should have taken decades under natural conditions. This means Homo Aqua has mastered some technology for rapid ice melting. Once global glaciers are completely melted, sea levels will rise by a full 100 meters. Perhaps some think humans can retreat to high mountains, but this idea is too naive. Because once the ice layer disappears, massive amounts of stored carbon will be released into the atmosphere. People in low-lying areas will be swallowed by floods, while those surviving on high ground will eventually suffocate due to drastic changes in air composition. The situation takes a sharp turn for the worse, and the human ambassador has to urgently launch a new round of negotiations. However, Homo Aqua's response is unusually cold. They claim they are merely restoring the glaciers to a so-called natural state, and that humans had already begun melting the ice layers before they awoke. Now they are merely continuing to complete the process humans started themselves. Seeing Tide's unusually tough attitude, Ambassador Jonathan has to try negotiating again, proposing that 5 years for ocean governance is far from enough, hoping the other side can make concessions. However, Homo Aqua's stance remains unwavering. In their view, 5 years is all the time humans can have. Otherwise, all the world's water will be released completely. Homo Aqua believes this barely counts as a war. Humans are merely dust that gathered briefly while they were away. Now that they have returned, this dust will eventually be washed clean by the surging torrents. 5 years is likely not even enough to completely solve the River Thames pollution problem, let alone govern oceans on a global scale. Barbara is full of worry for her family's future. She and her daughter are also placed under strict protection. Barclay privately reveals that someone within the organization is secretly on his side and has provided him with technology to evade surveillance cameras. This gives him brief freedom of movement. Every night, before the next shift arrives, he has a window of about 8 hours. Barclay drives to the seaside almost every night, as if the sea is silently calling him. He walks into the water, calling Salt's name, but never gets any response. However, Barclay does not know that the so-called help comes from the US and France. Dusselier suspects humans have installed baffle devices in the sea areas, blocking signal transmission between Homo Aqua. Meanwhile, Kate finds the Prime Minister, asking about the truth of the oil tycoon's death and further pressing on what severance actually means. Since Homo Aqua appeared, this word has frequently appeared in high-level private conversations, even making her suspect it is some undisclosed weapon. In such a tense situation, people are extremely likely to make wrong decisions out of panic. Kate bluntly warns the Prime Minister that if the situation continues to deteriorate, the British economy will collapse completely within 6 months, and he will inevitably be abandoned by voters. The new batch of politicians taking the stage will seize power quickly with a tough stance, promising to introduce thorough anti-Homo Aqua legislation, and war will thus reignite and fall into an endless cycle. Regardless of the future, she will still stand here to witness everything. After Kate leaves, the Prime Minister seems to make a decision, immediately notifying Gunsberg and the personnel responsible for guarding Barclay. The guard quietly swaps out Barclay's poison testing device while delivering his meal. After he falls into a coma, the guards use equipment to briefly shut down the surveillance system. Subsequently, a special unit quickly enters the hotel room. They inject some unidentified liquid into Barclay's body, then quietly withdraw after restoring everything, disguising it as him just falling asleep from exhaustion. Minutes later, Barclay wakes up and goes to the seaside to swim as usual, calling Salt's name in the water. Hours later, Salt finally appears from the seawater. They embrace emotionally out of control. Salt admits time is running out. Homo Aqua is accelerating the melting of ice layers. But she swears none of this is her will. She only learned the truth later. However, in her view, Barclay remains the only hope between humans and Homo Aqua. Barclay thinks he is just an insignificant nobody, and no one will truly listen to his voice. It is Salt who made him different. But now they are simultaneously pushed to desperation. Salt tells Barclay not to choose escape, but to relay to humans to seek the word accord from Homo Aqua. Among Homo Aqua, accord possesses an extremely ancient and sacred meaning. Once proposed, it gains the respect of all Homo Aqua. She cannot explain the true meaning within, because once humans know, they might try to stop it all. Salt finally exhorts him to find someone truly trustworthy, send a signal to the sea, and seek accord from Homo Aqua. Perhaps this way, everyone still has a chance to live. Upon returning, Barclay tells Kate everything truthfully. They decide to cleverly disguise that word into official messages sent to Homo Aqua, so ordinary humans cannot detect the meaning, but Homo Aqua can recognize it at a glance. The risk of doing this is high because high-level officials are secretly evaluating how many nuclear strikes the ocean can withstand. And once their actions are exposed, they could be charged with treason at any time. The signal is sent continuously for days, but they never receive any response from Homo Aqua. Just as they begin to suspect whether Homo Aqua received the signal at all, bad news arrives in succession. On beaches around the world, large numbers of Homo Aqua corpses are discovered one after another. Gradually, amazing numbers of Homo Aqua corpses begin floating in oceans, lakes, and rivers worldwide, as if a silent genocide is happening. The organization's scientists examine the corpses and find Homo Aqua died from a highly lethal virus infection. This virus rapidly blocks their gills, making them unable to breathe, with a mortality rate as high as 90%. Kate quickly realizes this is not a natural disaster but a carefully designed virus originating from human technology. Homo Aqua relies on a network built of algae throughout the global ocean to connect, and this virus spread through this network, silently invading all the world's waters. Kate finally sees the true meaning of severance. From the moment Homo Aqua stepped onto land, humans never truly viewed them as an equal civilization, only regarding them as a strange new species. Once deemed a threat, they would be eliminated without hesitation. Soon, humans receive a negotiation request from the Homo Aqua side. The situation is almost identical to the first time, still designating Barclay as ambassador. This time, 3 Homo Aqua representatives appear. Barclay once thought Salt had died until he sees her safe and sound at the negotiation site, his inner emotions finally surging uncontrollably. Salt immediately states the purpose of this trip. She is here to announce the result to humanity. This war is over, humanity has won, and Homo Aqua has been thoroughly defeated. Salt then mentions the devastating blow the virus caused to Homo Aqua. Now, the surviving clansmen are less than 10%. All this is clearly not accidental, but a carefully designed result. Just because some creatures in this room desire to win the war's prize, seizing the technology Homo Aqua possesses. But Salt also points out that in the deep sea unknown to humans, in areas far deeper than trenches reaching the world's mantle, Homo Aqua has already buried their core technology deep within, where it will not fall into anyone's hands. She reminds humans not to think everything was done seamlessly. Water will remember all this, and one day it will inevitably punish in its own way. Subsequently, following the wording on the teleprompter, Barclay conveys humanity's proposal to SALT. Humans are willing to designate an independent marine habitat for Homo aqua, promising to protect its boundaries, avoiding pollution, noise, and viral infringement. As two species on the same planet, both sides can try to rebuild relations, even if just coexisting as friends. SALT accepts this condition on behalf of Homo aqua, agreeing to go to that sea area to survive. But she also points out, without concealment, that the so-called habitat might look more like a hunting ground in some eyes.
We will live there in full knowledge of what you will do to us. We will do whatever you want because we are terrified of you. Thus ends the war.
Will I see you again?
After SALT leaves, it means this war ends with humanity's victory. The power players in the venue are still immersed in ecstasy, not yet recovering from the excitement. Suddenly, the glass tank emits a piercing creak, and fine cracks spread across the glass surface. Panic spreads rapidly. Venue personnel and attendees scatter and flee the hotel. Kate remembers a sentence the mysterious doctor once told her. He said he would save humanity, but would not shape humanity because even he himself might make mistakes. This sentence seems particularly heavy at this moment. At this moment, Barclay's doctor suddenly gets in touch with Kate and reveals a shocking truth. Barclay is the very accord spoken of by the Homo aqua. Kate hesitates no longer. She takes Barclay to the beach. Not long after, SALT appears from the seawater. Hand in hand, they slowly dive into the sea. Entering the water, Barclay's breathing becomes smoother and freer than ever before, as if he belonged there all along. After Kate bids farewell, Barclay and SALT swim toward the deep sea together, their figures gradually disappearing into the dark water. As Kate turns to leave, she sees a jogging man casually throw a drink bottle on the beach. She tells him to go back and pick up the trash, but the man refuses with complete indifference.
And what if I don't?
Pick it up. I said, pick it up. Pick it up!
The story of the war between the land and the sea comes to an end here. See you next time.